It's a shame they don't wander over and look at the business end of the
Our
business.
astronauts looking up at
Okay, you talk
the
about the history of the
rocket,
pad. You know, they built what's
doing a
essentially a
way
giant
back,
concrete structure on the Florida land back in the early 60s.
way back.
And you've got about a 5% grade that we saw them drive uphill to get up to the crown there. But if you go over to where the Falcon 9 is, centered up above the flame bucket, that's about a 13-meter drop down to the
I
bottom of the fire pit.
suppose
So, you know, that gives you
that
an idea of what it takes to carry nearly 2 million
way
pounds of
back.
thrust.
I just want to point out
I
because we had
guess,
a
I
team lead
suppose,
back
I
there.
don't know, I
Have
could be
you
wrong.
seen that?
You can
Yes.
comment below. This is
And
the,
this crew
this
grew
is
so close to each other. And if
the
you haven't seen
scene
the
of
Netflix documentary
astronauts with
Countdown
not
Inspiration
much
for
to
Mission
do.
Space, you can
All
really
they're
see
doing
how they
is
grew as a team and a family, and you can even see it
doing the
here
space
on the screen.
tourism
For sure.
show.
Something that I really appreciated. I know
And
pointed it out,
space
but it was one of these
tourism
four,
is exactly what we're
noted
seeing
that
here.
each of them are in a different decade in their life.
I mean,
So Haley is 29.
they are not prepared.
Chris Zimbrowski is 41. Dr. Proctor is 51.
They're not prepared
And Jared Isaacman is 38.
for.
So they're all in a different
Okay, so they're
decade
not
in their life,
prepared
and this
for
mission has brought
anything
them together, and the
to
camaraderie
go
is
wrong.
evident pretty much every
So
step that you
that
take.
outfit
And it looks like Dr.
is
Cyan Proctor and Haley Arsenault are the first to enter one of the
no,
elevators, waving.
Oh, just kidding.
That's happened to everyone.
So they're going to take this elevator up to the 255-foot level. And so this elevator shaft is not marked by floor levels, but rather foot levels. So they're literally riding up to 250 feet above ground. The exit of those elevators are there. And they will exit the elevators and then climb up a small set of stairs to the level above, which is where the crew access arm. And the reason for this is that Falcon 9 crew loading is a little bit higher than where the shuttle crew loading occurred. So the 255-foot level is where shuttle crew, and there they are, Dr.
That's a
Cyan
fast
Proctor.
elevator.
It is. It really is. I've been in it a few times. You leave your stomach on the ground when it takes off.
Yes, so Kate, you were mentioning some of sort of the guts, so to speak, are the same. The elevator is the same, minus some maintenance and
Of
needed
course.
the maintenance. And so there's a phone at the fixed surface structure as well. That is also the same phone that astronauts in the Apollo
Yes.
days would use to make their final phone call before boarding the vehicle.
Of course. And the webcasts back in the Apollo days were a little different than the webcasts now. And so it was a true surprise to the families when the Apollo crews would call home and say hello before hopping in their spaceship. Now it's less of a secret. But yeah, Andy, you're right. That's still the same phone. So what we see here is the crew kind of hanging out there on this level.
And again, as I've mentioned throughout this, every step of this process is written into the procedure. So they actually put in time to make sure that they have time to call a family member or friend.
Absolutely. So it looks like Chris and Jared have now gotten into the second elevator and are now making their way up to the 255-foot level.
All right, I'm going to pause this. But I'm
And if
worried
you're
that
just
we
now
don't
joining
catch
us,
them
you are
going into the
tuned
capsule.
into the Inspiration 4 crew mission to space. This is the very first all-civilian crew to orbit. And exiting the elevator is Chris Zimbrowski, the mission specialist, with Jared Isaacman, the commander of the mission today.
And we mentioned a little bit about the closeout technicians and suit technicians. Again, they are there to support the astronauts ingress, get buckled in. Before we close the side hatch, they'll be supporting with an interior foreign object debris checkout, and then also assist with the side hatch close. You'll notice some markings on the floor. These are very important in case of an emergency. This is the egress direction that the crew and support team will need to follow to make their way back down and be safe.
Yeah, these arrows actually point to what are basically slide wire emergency exits. So it's what it sounds like. It's a basket on a slide wire. They are the same baskets that were utilized again in the shuttle program. They have been repurposed and modified for safety features, and then of course raised up to this level from the 255-foot level. So only utilized in the case of an emergency. But we've been talking a lot about how the crew has been undergoing training since March, and actually egress training is part of it. So they are prepared for all nominal situations as well as off-nominal ones in the unlikely event of an emergency. And that's what those arrows are essentially pointing to, is the quickest path to safety.
What you're seeing on your screen is the Inspiration 4 crew, all 4 members standing by as each one of them gets to make their phone call on the historic phone that has been there since the Apollo missions. I think it even still has the same analog buttons on there, so no digital iPhones there. It's the original phone that they get to utilize.
Can confirm it is a rotary phone.
Love that.
So yeah, we are under the 3-hour mark now. The crew woke up about 4 hours ago, performed some medical checks. We saw them walk out of Hangar X, hopped into their Teslas, and made their way to the Falcon Support Building, where they donned the space suits that you see on screen right now. They took another ride to Launch Pad 39A, went up the elevator, went up a flight of stairs, and now they are making their way through the crew access arm. That is the corridor that you see on screen right now.
And what a sight to see with them hugging as they're walking. Oh, they look so excited.
So these are essentially the last steps that they will take on planet Earth for the next 3 days. Obviously taking a moment to enjoy the view, smell the roses if there were any.
They're just absolutely excited and ecstatic.
Their excitement is radiating. It's making me very excited. We're getting very close. Again, just under 3 hours until liftoff.
Inspiration.
And some dancing.
Inspiration.
Haley's getting very excited again.
Inspiration.
She's going to be the youngest
Like
American
Martian.
in space and the first with a prosthetic.
So what Haley has just entered into now is what we call the White Room, and it's an environmentally controlled room. It keeps out dust, dirt, humidity, bugs, of course, because it's Florida, and essentially keeps it environmentally stable for the crew. If you look just above Dr. Proctor's helmet there, you can see a seal. It's a black seal, and it basically seals in the room. That gets installed and compressed against the capsule to maintain the cleanliness of the spacecraft. And here we can see one of my favorite traditions for SpaceX crewed flights. They are adding their signatures to the wall of the White Room. So because this is the first orbital all-civilian mission, they're signing their names next to the X logo. For previous NASA crew missions, the NASA astronauts have signed their name there next to the NASA meatball to the left.
Yes, and all members of the crew will get an opportunity to sign. And if you are wondering, this is penciled into part of their procedures to grab the Sharpie and sign the wall. Yep,
it's actually written in for the advanced team, which is the group of people that arrive to the pad prior to the crew, and they are the advanced team prepares the pad and everything in the White Room with all the tools necessary for closeout operations. And Sharpie is one of the tools listed in the procedure for the advanced team to ensure is there prior to the crew's arrival.
And one final hug. So in the background, around the seal, you can see that is Dragon, and the side hatch is open. In a few minutes here, we will be seeing the crew enter or ingress the Dragon with the assistance of the closeout technicians.
Also affectionately known as the SpaceX Ninjas.
SpaceX Ninjas, yes.
And there you could see Jared Isaacman and Chris Dombrowski also making their way across the crew arm to the White Room to join the rest of their crew. Also getting a moment to take in some of the sights. And it's such a nice day over there in Florida.
Optics.
As John mentioned earlier, we were only 10% likelihood of violating launch conditions, which is a rarity
because we know it's going to happen,
for Florida,
and
especially
then,
this time of year.
they'll be in the
So,
capsule.
you know, if you've